What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his course. My squad with me, T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigo.
Let's do this. So listen, last week we started our conversation about the Brooklyn Nets and their stance with Kyrie, and the scripture we use, and we're going to do like part 2 of it because it's just there's so much to unwrap. Genesis chapter 12 verse 3 says in the Amplified, "And I, that is God, will bless, do good for and benefit those who bless you, and I will curse, that is subject to my wrath and judgment, the one who curses, despises, dishonors, and has contempt for you. And in all the families, the nations of the earth will be blessed as a result of you." And he's talking about Israel or the Jews. And Kyrie Irving has made he didn't even say it. He just gave a link or posted the name of a movie that had some anti-Semitic stuff in it. And for me, we see this in politics all the time. All the time. You'll have a bill for, equality in pay, or you have a bill that says, hey, let's raise the minimum wage. That'll be on the forefront, but in the back end, it'll be, and let's allow having sex with kids to be legal too. Now, we didn't know that having sex with kids is legal, but in order for us to get more money, we got to allow that. And so for this, I think, Kyrie, you just read the big part, not knowing the little stuff that was stuck behind this bill or this movie. And as a result, you upset the apple cart of some major people. Now, there's a bunch of the Jewish community, again, that owns NBA teams, that owns NFL teams, that owns a lot of things in this world, and especially in America. And so Kyrie recently had a meeting with Adam Silver, which is the commissioner of the NBA. And Adam Silver literally said,
who is Jewish,
who said, after having a conversation with Kyrie, I don't think he's an anti-Semite. I don't think he is.
No, he said he know for a fact that he's not.
That he's not. Right.
Yeah.
So, but Brooklyn Nets still, he has at least a 6-game suspension, and they made him, here's the conditions for him after that. But let me say this. Here's where the problem is for me. The suspension is indefinitely, at least 6 games, but they didn't say it would end. And these are the other things that have to come with it. 1, he has to apologize and condemn the film that he promoted. 2, make a $500,000 donation to anti-hate causes. 3, complete sensitivity training. 4, complete anti-Semitism training. 5, meet with the ADL and the Jewish leaders. And 6, meet with the team owner, Joe Tsai, to demonstrate an understanding of the situation. Now, my problem with it is they're kind of doing to Kyrie what Boston is doing to Ime Udoka. These suspensions are indefinite. If you really want to tell the truth, they say a year with Ime, but here's the thing, you suspend it, but when he tried to go somewhere else to get another job, no, you block it, because the Brooklyn Nets was going to turn around and hire him. But the other coaches, the other owners and the NBA got upset about it. Nope, he cannot go to Brooklyn. They don't want him in Brooklyn. We don't think it's in the best interest to have him come coach. And I'm looking at this stuff. I'm like, listen, you guys really, and really, I see it more with Kyrie than with Udoka, is you are really Colin Kaepernick in this cat. Because after this is Kyrie's last year of his contract, am I correct?
Yes.
Correct.
So your contract is done. And the owners are gathering together saying, do something about this cat. Because Brooklyn couldn't do what they're doing, first of all, without the owners telling them to do this. Because if Adam Silver steps in, he works for the owners, and the owner said, you need to go over there and deal with Kyrie. So now you have the owners going, okay, this cat is about to be blackballed. Already Nike has said, we're halting the release of his new shoe. That's on hold. And a bunch of other sponsors are looking to see how the NBA and how the Brooklyn Nets in particular are going to handle Kyrie, because if they don't handle him in the way that they think he should be handled, they're pulling money. And when you start pulling money from a franchise, if they have a choice between being loyal to a person or loyal to their funds, the person is going to lose every time, because it's always a business that they lie and say it's a family. But it's business first. It's green over white and black every time. And so now you have a situation for me, I'm going, okay, I'm looking at all this and I'm going, there should be, first of all, what is the precedent in what they're making Kyrie do to get back on that court?
It's never been done before.
Never been done before.
No.
And two, at this point, I'm looking at the union going, how are y'all allowing this to be done? The players union, how are y'all allowing this kind of punishment to happen to this man, and nobody's saying nothing? Nobody's coming to his defense. What I am starting to see, though, is I am starting to see the brothers in the media go, hey, this shouldn't be happening. This is out of order and it's too much. I can see, okay, suspended for 6 games, but all this other stuff, make up your mind. Either have him do all this other stuff and suspend him 1 or 2 games, or suspend him the 6 games and don't have him do all 6 of these things. You ain't never made nobody do nothing like this before. So, Will, how do you feel about this?
I think I'm gonna acquiesce to my man Tim, because the way he rocking in that chair looked like he about ready to let me at him. So I'm gonna tag off, and I'm gonna let Tim get in the ring. Tim, if you would.
Hey, I appreciate the deferment, brother, and I shall. I think a couple things we have going on here. As far as the punishment itself, I think that at this particular juncture, it is a bit, excessive. The main thing was the suspension without pay, which was already, or in process of being executed. In addition to that, there was a plea and a request, almost a demand for an apology, which, Kyrie has done. Now, the 6-step or 6-prong reinstatement requirements that the Nets, not the NBA, the Nets put on them, I think that it might not only be solely related to this particular issue, although they're masquerading it as such. I think that they are taking into account all of the headaches that Kyrie Irving has caused them over the years prior to this latest incident coming to the forefront. Him going AWOL on the team, missing games without any explanation, without any warning that, hey, I'm going to be gone the next 7 to 10 days. Him giving excuses that, hey, I wasn't feeling well, and they caught him on film at a party with like his sister and some other folks that betrayed what he had told them was the reason why he was missing in action in the first place. In addition to that, all the stuff going back and forth with the vaccine to vax or not to vax, seeming to put himself above the team. Even going back to the bubble a couple years ago when he was saying, well, hey, I won't be able to play. I think he was injured at the time and was trying to advocate for the games not being played. And they ended up being played. And it turned out to be a pretty magical season with them being able to pull that out the entire NBA. So I think that the owner is now saying, you know what? I've given you a whole lot of grace up until this point. I've been more than fair with you up until this point. Maybe there's some people in the owner's ear saying, hey, man, why are you bending over backwards for this guy, acting like he's the owner of the team and you aren't? Somewhere along the line, you're going to have to, quote unquote, stick it to him. And I think that this is his opportunity to do that. I also think that he, based on what he being the owner, has demonstrated thus far, will, I think, kind of acquiesce to this and make it a bit more lenient. I think the first attempt to give $500,000 for Kyrie to the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, they rejected it. We don't want your money, bro. We want something else. Now, with regards to having those meetings and those sensitivity trainings, those kind of things, to me, can be worked out amicably by having some offline conversation. If Adam Silver came out of his conversation with Kyrie convinced that he is not anti-Semitic, I don't think he's anti-Semitic either. I just think that there was a little bit of ignorance and he dipped into a 3,000-year fight, not understanding the depth of what he was dipping his toes into, and caught the wrath of some of the factions that were impacted by it. Now, the documentary piece itself has some anti-Semitic rhetoric in there, and it has some quotes from Hitler, some things that have really, really been filed. And the Jewish community is saying, hey, look here, player, the last time somebody was talking slick, they marched us after talking to some gas chambers and cooked us. We ain't getting cooked no more, no matter who's saying something. So whether you knew what you were stepping into or not, you know now. So watch out what you're doing. You can associate with whoever you want to associate with, but if you catch some fire behind that, that's on you. Consider this fair warning that you can do what you want to do. It's a free country, but you also can catch the consequences that come behind doing what you do as well. I think that with Adam Silver's endorsement, whatever other factions, the owner of the Nets, Mr. Tsai included, he could broker a deal to say, you know what? I think this has been punitive enough. We shouldn't punish the young man into perpetuity. Everybody's allowed to make mistakes. He's given his mea culpa. He said he apologized. I sincerely believe he was sincere with that. Maybe there were some things that he just didn't know. And in my one-on-one with him, this is Adam Silver, I'm talking for him. In my one-on-one with him, I sense contrition that he has. Now, we don't have to carry this thing on. He's made the amends. Let's move forward. Now, everything being equal now, everybody knows what's going on. We know what the level set is. The Fuhrer has been exercised. If there's some other things that come up, we will deal with that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. As for now, this being addressed, this being maybe a mistake in some regards, this being him held accountable, we've done all of that. We don't want it to spill over into excessive punishment, and that is where it may be right now. And so I believe that this is going to be resolved. They haven't totally wrote Kyrie off. Now, he on the path of the Colin Kaepernick, the whole collusion and him being ostracized from the league. I still think he has a little bit more of box office left in him. And his apology, I think, will go a long way to at least giving him one more shot. Now, his margin of error is razor's edge thin. But I think that right now, because of all of the attention that it has garnered, as well as some of the sympathy that he has also garnered after having given an apology, I think that there may be some resolution to this. But trust me, the warning shots have been fired for sure, figuratively and literally.
Man, my feeling on this is probably a lot more simple. Number one, they suspended the man for a certain amount of games because he posted something on his website or
social media feed.
Social media feed They suspended him because he would not apologize. Okay, that's what the suspension is for. Okay, when you serve the suspension for what it was you did, that should be the end of it. First of all, it not having a finite time is disturbing. Very disturbing.
Absolutely.
You know, if it's 6 games, it's 6 games. Okay, I'm serving these 6 games because I didn't want to apologize. So if I'm gonna serve the 6 games and still have to apologize, let me just apologize and not serve the 6 games.
Right.
And he apologized. I think this is double jeopardy. I think they punishing the man twice for the same thing. They suspended him, and now y'all saying that if you don't do what we suspended you for, okay, well then why y'all suspended? And the man apologized. Okay, all of this other sensitivity training and all of this old stuff, this is just a way of, this is how they controlled the slaves back in the day. They brought them out in front of all of the other slaves. They tied them up and they beat them to let the other slaves know, being the rest of the NBA, know that if y'all don't do what we want y'all to do, this will be your fate. And I think that's what they're doing. This is a modern day lynching that they're doing to Kyrie. And Skip, I agree with you 110%. This is a union matter because it's Kyrie today. And who is it going to be tomorrow?
Yep.
You guys control the purse strings because you're the product.
Right.
Y'all what people paying to come see. They ain't paying to come see Joe Tsai and Adam Silver.
Right.
So if they want to mess with y'all like that, y'all can say, okay, fine. Us as an organization, as a group, we finna shut it down. And nobody ain't gonna get no money. And all that money y'all paying for them buildings and so on and so forth, y'all can eat that. But y'all not getting ready to come out here and lynch us and publicly lynch one of our members, and we just stand by and allow that to happen. So I think a resolution has to be made, because not only are they lynching and castrating Kyrie, they're doing that to the rest of the players too, through Kyrie as an example. And no one, the NBA, the Senate, Miss Jones down on 3rd Street, Mr. Murphy on the farm out in Albuquerque, nobody in America should look at this and say, this is how we should be conducting business in 2022. This is Neanderthal, what they're doing. And Kyrie Irving, in my book, he was wrong for what he did. They punished him for what he did. He apologized for what he did. And for them to just still keep on doing this, it speaks to the insecurity of some people in power. The man is dead. Why do you have to castrate him? He's dead. This doesn't make sense. This speaks to the insecurity of some people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this speaks to.
Yeah. You know, Will, I think if you really look at this from a bird's eye view, everything that they're doing really ain't about what Kyrie has done. It's to keep their money coming in. That's really what the bottom line is. We got to save this brand, because if we start having Nike pull out, Adidas, you know, all these major corporations starting to pull out as sponsors, we can lose multi-billions over some post. Now, mind you, again, he never said it, but because he has a following of like 2.6 million or something like that, let me see what it was. I think he's got like 6.8 million followers, something like that. Because you put that out and you got 6.8 million followers, you got some influence. 6.8 million people get to hear what you say. And if they're following you, then they think what you say has some sort of weight. and has the ability to have some sort of influence on my thinking. And so we're dealing with, to me, as much as Kyrie, they're making him the scapegoat, it's about saving their money. Did he do something wrong? Absolutely. And even this, all this training you're asking him to do, when I finish with this training, don't mean I'm changing my thinking. It does not mean I'm changing. It does not mean my thought process about this is any different. What it does mean is I did what I had to do to get my bread, but it don't mean I've changed. And so you're asking him to do all these things, but really, he don't have to change when it's all said and done. He can still be, against Jews or whatever. And he's not saying that he is. But how many people have went to prison and came back changed? There's a bunch of people who go to prison or jail and come back worse because now you upset them over whatever reason they were in, and they got to think about why they did it and how they could do it bigger and better next time. So there has to be a different mindset on, first of all, you're an NBA. You're not in the business of rehabilitating anybody. That's not your job. And to try to turn around and say, hey, we're the NBA and we're going to rehabilitate people you can't do it. You ain't built to do that. Mm-hmm. Let them play back, deal with, and this kind of stuff could have been dealt with. And again, I'm really looking at this NBA union and going, this is terrible. Yeah. This is absolutely terrible.
If I can just jump in real quick, Pastor Skip. Again, I think this is more on the Nets than it is the entire NBA. I mean, Adam Silver met with him, came out, gave him a ringing endorsement. At the beginning of all of this furor, it was the Nets owner who was the first one that came out saying, hey, I don't condone this. One of my players has a post up that I think is despicable and he needs to apologize. So again, it sounds to me that this is a situation that is really contained with the Nets more so than the entirety of the NBA, and the owner having in times past up to this point been overly gracious to Kyrie and not giving him any sort of punishment for some of the things he did. And some folks probably have been in his ear saying, dude, when are you going to do something about this guy who continues to run roughshod over the organization, has done what he wanted to do, has been a kid in the candy store, has thrown tantrums and all of that. So this is the owner's attempt to get tough, but he didn't overreach with it. The question is, will he be able to swallow his pride and exercise wisdom and say, you know what? Let me see if we can get these things resolved and dissolved without him having to check off all these marks. If his level of contrition and his ability to say, you know what, I recognized what I did was an error. If it already is sufficient, you don't need this excessive punishment piece. Right. I think this is on Mr. Tsai or Joseph Tsai, the owner of the Nets, more so than the NBA. I think when Adam Silver came out and said, hey, Kyrie ain't anti-Semitic, that was his way of saying, hey, Jewish community, as a fellow Jew, oh boy, is good. This was foul. He's been contrite. He's apologized. We're good with this. Mr. Owner, because we give you guys wide latitude in what you do with your respective teams, this is on you. We encourage you to get this squared away, but we can't tell you what to do because we ain't your daddy. And given that the NBA is a nonprofit organization, it's a private institution, and Kyrie is making millions of dollars, I don't quite put this under the buck-breaking comparison. Although he is being brought to accountability, I don't think it's up to that level because you still been getting paid. Enslaved Africans worked for free labor. That ain't what this is. So while there may be some parallels that can be drawn, I think it is a stretch. I do think, though, that what it has been excessive, but I don't think that's been the NBA. That's been this personal team, the owner of this team, coming at old boy, probably trying to make up for what has been perceived by some as being too lax with him. And now with the trying to equalize his punishment, he did an overreach now. Now we need to see, can he reel it back for the greater good, not just of his team, but for the entire league?
I mean, I hear everything you're saying, but I think he's being made an example of. I think he's being paraded out there for the rest of the people to see. Don't do this. Just like Colin Kaepernick, don't do this. There are a few problems that I have with this. What if the rest of the players in the NBA say, okay, fine, we're not playing in Brooklyn. So every time we go to Brooklyn, we sitting out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all can have that, whatever the amount of money it is. We rolling with Kyrie, because y'all doing that, we're not going to play in Brooklyn. The only time we're going to play y'all, we play at home. Now, here we go. Now, what's next? Yeah. Somebody somewhere got to be an adult in the room and say, you know what? This is overstepping the boundary. I don't have to cut the man foot off because he won't call himself Toby. I don't have to do that.
Right.
I don't have to do that. And that's what this is. If you don't call yourself Toby, we're going to cut your foot off, so you got to walk around in public embarrassed because you wouldn't acquiesce to what your master told you to do. Hey, and like I said in the beginning, it's that simple to me. Right. There's no way in the world, just what you said, Tim. I mean, now Skip, one of y'all, I think Skip said, just because I go through sensitivity training,
right,
doesn't mean I'm getting ready to change. I know people who've been divorced 2 and 3 times. I know people who've been divorced and remarried the same person they divorced.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't know what him doing all that is going to do. I think this is just to make him stay in his place and understand that you do have a master and you have to answer to your master. And if you don't, we're going to cut your foot off. That's how I see it. It's just that simple to me, because it don't make sense for you to suspend me for 5 or 6 games because I wouldn't apologize and because I posted something on my social media page. And then after I apologize and you suspend me, I still can't play.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I would apologize. Would I still be able to play? I mean, this is double jeopardy.
Right.
There's no way I can satisfy you because you asking me to do too much.
You know, again, yeah, Kyrie did what he did, but again, I'm looking at the players union going, you guys could stop this. His player rep could go, he's not doing all of that. You ain't never made nobody else do none of this. He's not he may be get a couple of these things done, or do just like you said, either fine me or suspend me.
Or players union, or players union. If y'all want to do that, this is what we're gonna do. We're not gonna play in Brooklyn.
Right.
Nobody that's in our union is gonna play in Brooklyn, since that's how y'all want to play. So we're not gonna play in Brooklyn. So we finna mess with your money and your franchise and your brand, just like y'all messing with Kyrie money, his franchise and his brand. He already been dropped from Nike.
Yeah. And my question becomes, is the players union not saying anything because they don't have a leg to stand on as far as protesting a city? You know what I mean?
They ain't got to protest, just boycott. I'm not. I mean, they do this now. Y'all know this now. Yeah, Giannis, the last Bucks game, 3 of our starters didn't play.
Right.
They could have played. If this was 1980, they would have played.
Right.
They do that all the time. They rest because they want to rest people. So we can say every time LA go to Brooklyn, LeBron James got a stiffness in his back. He's not playing.
So, hey, listen, another great show. Meet us back here next week. Same back time, same back channel for the #1 faith-based sports talk show in the entire world. Into his court. Until next week, have a